Hello, I'm Beth Wagner, Doctor of Physical Therapy. Today's video is all about wrist braces. So I'll share with you a little bit about what braces do, when to wear them and when not to wear them, and I'll show you an example of 3 different types of wrist braces. I'll also include some helpful tips for choosing the best brace for your needs and how to take care of it. Okay, first of all, a brace provides external support for a joint or joints in a particular body part. It limits motion or completely immobilizes that area. It also decreases muscle activation in that area, which allows injured muscles to heal. Some braces also provide compression, which will help decrease inflammation. Overall, a brace is a temporary tool to help you perform your daily activities while allowing the affected tissues to heal. So in the wrist, this could include a severe sprain, or it might involve carpal tunnel syndrome or other type of injury to the tissues in the wrist. The best time to use a wrist brace is for activities that require use of the wrist, such as writing or typing, household chores, cooking and cleaning, or yard projects, especially for repetitive movements or extended periods of time. Now, when not to use the brace. It's important not to rely on the use of a brace to perform an activity that you know your body isn't ready for yet. So if you have sustained an injury and you're really looking forward to getting back to your usual activities, it's not wise to use a brace in order to try to fully bridge that gap. This is quite common if you know you have a big project coming up or you want to spend all day outside gardening or doing something like that, and you know your wrist isn't going to like it very much. It's best to use the brace for a short period of time in order to give that body part a little bit of a rest while still encouraging healing and gradual return to normal activation and use of that body part. This is a gradual process. As the tissues heal, it's important to decrease use of the brace. Now, carpal tunnel braces are a little bit different because oftentimes it's very helpful to wear them for a long period of time while doing any typing, writing, activities around the house, and even sleeping. Oftentimes, people sleep in a position with their wrist curled, which exacerbates carpal tunnel syndrome because it closes down the carpal tunnel, which runs through the front of the wrist. So wearing a brace specifically for carpal tunnel at night can be very helpful. And that is a little bit different than braces that you would wear for a wrist sprain or other type of injury to the wrist. The first thing to consider is how much support you need based on your condition and how you want to use the brace. Braces can offer firm or rigid support, which almost immobilize the area completely. That is very helpful following an acute injury where there is a great deal of pain and it's very difficult to use the wrist at all. A moderate support brace is appropriate once the initial pain and dysfunction of the injury have subsided. You're able to use the wrist a little bit, but you're still looking for a significant amount of support for the area. And then a mild or light support brace is helpful a little bit farther down the road when you've returned to doing most of your activities, but the wrist is not fully healed and you're looking for a little bit of support to help bridge that gap. The second thing to consider is size. Some braces come in adjustable size. Other braces will come in a fixed size, typically small, medium, and large. So you want to look at the package to see what sizing that brace offers. If it's a fixed size, look at the parameters on the packaging for how to measure your wrist to be sure that you are choosing the correct size. The other component to look for is whether the brace is fixed left or right side or if it's adjustable, and be sure that you're choosing the appropriate brace for your needs. Finally, consider fabric. If you know you have an allergy to certain fabrics, be sure to avoid that fabric in the brace. The first one is called a stabilizer because it stabilizes the wrist by limiting movement through the joint. On the package, this brace is specifically labeled small, medium size for the right hand. So first we'll unstrap the Velcro. Okay, so with the brace more open, now I can see this hole here is where the thumb goes. So I'm going to thread my arm down the brace here, slide it up, and put my thumb right through that hole. Now this brace has a metal stay in it, which supports and stabilizes my forearm and my wrist and into the palm of my hand. So that metal stay should go right through the front of the forearm, across the wrist, and into the hand. All right, once that is in place, we'll start with the middle strap. I'm going to wrap the strap around. I can use my fingers here to help hold it in place. This should be snug but not tight. Now I'll pull this strap across, and I realize I've made the middle one too tight. I'm going to loosen it. Okay, that feels better. All right, and finally we'll do the strap across the back of the hand, wrapping it into the palm. Okay, wiggle your fingers a little bit, make sure that feels okay. All right, and there we have it. Now, as you can see, this provides a great deal of stability for my wrist. I can barely move my wrist at all. So this is very helpful for typing, doing light things around the house. This does affect the grip. I'm not going to be able to grip much very well. And with the stay across my palm, it's very difficult to hold any kind of tool or to grip any object. But I can type, and I could do a little bit of writing here. This is also a great overnight brace for carpal tunnel syndrome because it prevents the wrist from curling into this position. Okay, let's move on to the next brace. Now this is also called a stabilization brace, but based on the guide here for the amount of support, it's showing moderate support. This brace is a similar style to the first one, but it's more flexible. So I'll show you that now. Now this brace also shows an adjustable size, and it does not indicate left or right sides. Okay, let's undo the straps and take a look. Okay, so with the straps open, I see that there is a sleeve here, and there's the thumb hole. So this brace also has the metal stay. If I reach inside, I feel this opening, and I could pull this metal stay out and switch it over to the other side here. Right now, the stay is in a position to be fit for the right hand. And I'll show you how I know that once I put it on, you'll see. So I'm going to slide my hand through the sleeve, put my thumb right through that hole there. So I know this is meant for the right hand because the stay curves in toward my palm. If I tried to put it on the left hand, then the stay would poke out of my hand, and that's not the way it should fit. It should match the curve of your wrist. Okay, now in this position, I'll close the Velcro. All right, again, close them so that you have a snug but not tight fit. All right, now with this brace, I can move my wrist quite a bit more than I could with the other brace. Yet it still provides a decent amount of support through my wrist, as well as a decent amount of compression. Okay, so with this brace, I could also type, I could write. This is also a great night splint for carpal tunnel syndrome. It's a little bit lighter, a little bit more breathable, and the fabric feels just a little bit more flexible than the first brace I showed you. So I would say this one is a little bit more comfortable, but doesn't feel quite as supportive. Okay, let's move on to the third one. Now this is also labeled as a moderate amount of support, but you'll see when I open this up, the profile of this brace is much lighter and it doesn't have a metal stay. So I would be able to use, I would be able to hold more tools. I could hold, for example, this person in the picture is holding a tennis racket. So I could do more activities using this brace than I could the last one I showed you. This one is also not labeled left or right. So that means it can be switched from side to side. This is also obviously a very light fabric. So we'll open the Velcro, and you'll see it's just one strip of fabric. So if I want to put it on my right hand, I'll put my thumb through this loop. And I'm going to wrap it from the back first. So I'll wrap it across the back of my hand, pulling so that it's snug but not too tight, and then wrap across the base of my wrist and continue wrapping until I Velcro it right through the front there. So I can move my wrist a little bit, and the support does feel about the same as the second one. What's great about this is there's no bar across my hand. So as I mentioned, I would be able to hold tools. I could use a tennis racket. I can do a lot more activity with this brace than I could with the second brace. So just a different style. This one could work for carpal tunnel syndrome at night, but as you can see, I could still curl my hand under. So I would recommend the more rigid or firm support braces that have the metal stay through the wrist and the front of the forearm, specifically for carpal tunnel syndrome. Now I want to go over a couple things to look for to make sure that your brace is fit appropriately and safely. Number one, make sure that there are no changes in skin color in your hand. Your hand should not turn red, white, blue, purple, anything. It should stay flesh toned. You also should not see any inflammation or any puffiness in your fingers. The third thing is no numbness or tingling, no pins and needles. All of those would indicate that the brace is too tight. If you experience these symptoms, then loosen up the Velcro and adjust the brace so it's a little bit looser, and then put the Velcro back down. Make sure the pins and needles go away, that the color returns to your hand, and any increase in fluid drains away from your hand. If you need to take a rest from the brace for a little bit in order to let your hand rest, that's just fine too. When you put the brace on the next time, be sure that it's a little bit looser. Also, be sure to check your skin when you remove the brace. Look for blisters, abrasions, or any pinch points in your skin. If you notice those, then you may want to consider wearing some type of fabric between your skin and the brace. Sometimes it helps to take a sock and cut the foot off the sock so that it's just a sleeve, and wear that fabric underneath the brace. Also be sure to look for any folds in the brace itself to make sure that you aren't experiencing creases on your skin due to a fold in the brace. Finally, look for any rashes. That might indicate an allergic reaction to the fabric. If that happens, sometimes you can get away with adding fabric between your skin and the brace, or you might need to change braces entirely and choose one of a different fabric. And then finally, I want to share just a couple tips for taking care of your brace. The best way to wash it is with warm, soapy water and then let it air dry. Don't put it in the washing machine or dryer. Don't use bleach or any harsh chemicals on it. Also, if you're noticing any signs of inflammation, including swelling, redness, warmth, or throbbing pain, you might benefit from icing the area for 10 minutes at a time, several times a day. You'll want to do that separate from wearing the brace. If you'd like more information about icing, click on the links in the description down below. I've posted a couple of videos with a great deal of information about icing. And that could be very helpful for your recovery, in addition to wearing the brace. Once the signs of inflammation have decreased and your pain levels have subsided, you'll likely benefit from moving on to a strengthening and stretching program. I've included links in the description below for some of my other videos that cover those types of exercises. Okay, that wraps up this video on wearing a wrist brace. I hope this information has been helpful for you to be able to recover from your wrist injury and get back to doing the things you love to do every single day to the best of your ability. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below and I'll get back to you as soon as I'm able. Here's to your healing, health, and happiness. Have a fantastic day.